In the far silence of space, an alien exploration vessel named the Seeker of Dawn drifted beyond the mapped trade routes, its hull glowing faintly against the endless black, its crew of 7 moving carefully inside its narrow corridors, none of them speaking loudly, as if even their voices might awaken something hidden in the void. Their mission was simple: to chart unknown systems and report any anomalies to the Central Council. They were not warriors, not diplomats, only explorers with orders to look, never to touch. But everything changed when a voice from the dark broke into their receivers. At first it was static, then a pulse, a rhythm, almost like a heartbeat, echoing through the thin metal walls. The crew gathered around the console where the signal was being decoded. Strange symbols ran across the screen, symbols not used by any of the great species in the council, but familiar somehow to the ship's language officer, who leaned forward, his eyes widening in shock. "This is human," he whispered. The others turned toward him, confusion on their faces. Humans were known across the galaxy, but their reach was limited. Their colonies were small, their fleets scattered and weak. To find a human signal so far from any known route was not just strange, it was impossible. The officer continued, "It is older than any current human system, but the technology behind the code is far beyond what humans should have." The captain, an elder alien with skin like cracked stone, stared at the readout, his voice heavy with suspicion. "If it is human, how did it come here, and why does it carry this warning?" He pointed as the words slowly appeared on the display, 3 simple words translated across the ship's panels: "We are ready." The bridge grew colder. At once every crew member felt a weight on their shoulders. "Ready for what?" the science officer muttered, her long fingers tapping the screen. "Ready for war, ready for visitors, ready for something darker." No one answered, because the question itself was dangerous. Curiosity battled with fear inside their hearts. Exploration was their duty, but interference was forbidden, and this message, this ghostly declaration, sounded more like a challenge than a call for help. The captain ordered a slow approach. "Bring us closer to the source, but maintain distance." Shields at half-strength, scanners open. As the ship slid through the starless void, the signal grew sharper, stronger, until it was not a whisper but a clear voice humming in the bones of the vessel. The star system appeared on their charts unmarked, a red sun burning faintly at the edge of nothingness. Around it circled 3 dead worlds, black and broken, but the 4th was alive, its blue oceans and green continents gleaming like jewels. Yet something unnatural shimmered in orbit around that world, a net of metallic objects turning slowly. Defense satellites, the tactical officer reported, his spines rising in alarm. "They are armed, their weapons are tracking us." Even now on the screen, dozens of small machines locked their aim onto the alien vessel, their lights blinking like watchful eyes. Someone was not only alive down there but waiting. The crew shifted uncomfortably. No lost colony should have this level of defense. No isolated world could build and maintain such a fleet, not without purpose or discipline. "What if this is not lost?" the first mate whispered. "What if it was hidden?" Silence followed her words, because they all felt the same unease. Maybe these were not forgotten survivors, maybe they were something else. Something that wanted to stay out of the galaxy's sight. The captain clenched his jaw. Retreat was the safe choice. Report the finding to the council and leave. But his gaze lingered on the planet, the oceans glittering, the signal repeating, "We are ready," as if daring them to come closer. His heart wrestled with duty, his mind with curiosity, and still the ship inched forward. The satellites hummed louder, energy signatures rising, weapons priming. The alien crew felt like prey under the gaze of unseen hunters. The communication officer tried a standard greeting, broadcasting peace and exploration protocol. No reply came, only the signal repeating like a drumbeat, ancient human letters burning across the screen. The science officer spoke again, her voice low. "Captain, these satellites are not new, they are centuries old, patched, rebuilt again and again, but still deadly. This is not the work of primitives. Whoever lives here has fought hard to keep these defenses alive, fought for generations." As the realization spread through the crew, tension gripped them. The lost human colony was not a ruin, it was not helpless, it was prepared. Every member of the Seeker of Dawn understood that they had not simply stumbled upon survivors, they had entered the territory of warriors. The captain exhaled slowly and gave one final order: "Hold position, let us see what they will do." In that moment the stars seemed to dim. The planet below rotated slowly, revealing scars of old battles on its surface, great craters and burned fields, yet new cities shone between them, strong and deliberate, built not for comfort but for survival. The signal's final repetition shook the air itself: "We are ready." And as the crew stared out of the glass, their stomachs heavy with dread, they wondered, ready for what, ready for whom, and ready since when? The alien vessel Seeker of Dawn hung at the edge of the human world, its hull trembling under the silent threat of 100 defense satellites, their weapons glowing like cold suns, but no shot was fired, not yet. The crew waited, their breath shallow, their eyes fixed on the planet below, expecting ruins or fragile settlements, like most forgotten colonies. But what they saw filled them with unease. The surface was alive with movement through the magnified lenses, the oceans glittered with fleets of Ships not fishing vessels but metal crafts armed and armored, their wakes cutting white scars across the blue water inland. Massive cities rose not of glass or beauty but of steel and stone, every wall reinforced, every tower topped with weapons. Smoke curled from chimneys that belonged not to homes but to factories, endless factories, pounding out fire and sparks day and night. The first mate whispered in disbelief, "This is no forgotten people, this is an army preparing for something, and it has been preparing for a very long time." In the streets of one city, the scanners picked up formations of young humans lined in rows, practicing drills with wooden rifles. Even children were marching, their faces stern, their bodies disciplined. The alien science officer murmured, "They are training from birth, this is a culture shaped only for war." The tactical officer added uneasily, "They remind me of the old warrior clans before the council united us, yet these are humans. We thought humans were fragile, scattered, incapable of such unity, and yet here on this hidden world their unity is absolute." The captain's voice was low-edged with caution. "What enemy drove them to this? What memory keeps them building?" Even now, as the crew continued to watch, the images grew darker. Fields on the outskirts of the cities were not filled with crops but with rows of metallic frames, half-built war machines, rusted hulks being restored while new ones rose beside them. The factories sang a song of iron, not food or trade but endless weapons, generation after generation building with the same purpose. The language officer traced the markings on one of the ships docked near a coastal city. Its hull bore faded human words, "Victory eternal," as if it were a promise carved into metal. The aliens shivered. This colony was not simply surviving, it was waiting for a war that perhaps no longer existed. The captain considered sending a drone to scan closer despite the satellites, but before he could give the order, a shiver of light streaked across the sky. One of their earlier drones, launched at high altitude, was suddenly destroyed without warning. The feed cut in a burst of static, then nothing. The tactical officer cried out, "They saw us, they are hunting us." The silence on the bridge was heavy now. No one spoke because the meaning was clear. The humans had known of their presence from the first moment. The satellites were not passive watchers, they were guardians, sharpened by centuries of suspicion. Someone down there expected outsiders and prepared to kill them. The captain clenched his jaw, his eyes narrowing. "We send no more drones, we wait for them to answer us. If they choose otherwise, we retreat." The crew nodded, though unease remained deep in their bones. Hours passed, the planet turning slowly beneath them, the glow of the factories, unending smoke rising like signals of defiance. Then suddenly their screens flickered, an energy surge filled the scanners. Warships rose from the atmosphere, dark shapes against the clouds, at first only a few, then dozens, their hulls scarred and old, their plates patched and uneven, yet their weapons gleamed with deadly power. The science officer gasped, "These are not new ships, these are relics from another age, repaired and repaired again, but they still fly, still fight." The alien crew watched in frozen silence as the human fleet assembled above the planet, locking formation in a disciplined wall, every gun pointed outward, their engines burning like angry stars. And then across the communication line came a voice, not broken, not ancient, but strong and sharp, echoing through the Seeker of Dawn. "This world is not yours, this world is not forgotten, you should not have come here, we are ready." The bridge shook with silence again, every alien officer staring at the words flashing on the panels. The humans were not lost, they were not weak, they were not asking for help, they were warning intruders away. The captain's hands tightened on the railing, his mind raced with the implications. This colony was alive. It was armed, and it was not afraid of anyone, not even the United Council. His second whispered, "What now, Captain, what do we do?" His voice was steady, but his heart was heavy with dread. "We wait," the captain answered, his stone-like features unreadable, and hope that ready does not mean war, but in his chest he already feared the truth, because before their eyes the fleet of forgotten humans moved into position, not to welcome them but to show the galaxy it had teeth. The fleet of human warships hung above the planet, their rusted hulls scarred with centuries of battles, yet their formation was tight, their engines steady, and their weapons burning with readiness. The alien vessel Seeker of Dawn remained still under the gaze of hundreds of human guns, its crew silent, hearts pounding as the empty void between them became heavier than any battlefield. The aliens expected a demand for peace or a call for aid, but instead the human voice came again, sharp like iron. "We know who you are, you come from the stars beyond, but you are not the enemy, you are scouts, and yet you carry their scent." The crew exchanged nervous looks. The translation carried no error. The humans believed the aliens belonged to some old enemy. The communication officer tried again, broadcasting a universal message of peace. "Explorers only, no threat, we mean no harm." But the reply was colder, "You are intruders, and you should not be here. Our people are preparing for war, and we will not be delayed." The bridge of the alien ship filled with dread. "What war?" one officer whispered, but no answer came, only the silent fleet drawing closer until the great hulls filled their screens, their surfaces patched with plates from every era of design, proof that these ships had been rebuilt endlessly, generation after generation. The science Officer's voice was low, almost shaking. Their technology is not advanced, but it is relentless. They build from scraps. They do not stop. This is endurance beyond logic. The captain raised his hand. Silence, he said, and his eyes never left the approaching ships because he felt something ancient in their discipline, a society that had cut away everything except survival. They did not see themselves as survivors. They saw themselves as soldiers born to fight a war that had never ended. The humans broadcast again, their words heavy as stone. You are warned, leave now or be tested. The aliens felt the meaning deeper than the words. It was not only a threat, it was a promise. If they stayed, the humans would unleash everything they had. The tactical officer's spines rose in fear. Captain, they could destroy us. We are only one vessel, the captain answered slowly, but if we retreat we bring back nothing. The council will learn nothing, and these humans will remain hidden until they choose to come forth. His words carried weight because all of them knew what it meant. If a colony of humans had built this kind of power in isolation, what would happen when they decided to return to the wider galaxy? The science officer whispered, perhaps they do not want to return, perhaps they prepare because they fear something greater. The captain nodded, the thought burning in his mind. Yes, perhaps, but fear or not, they have built an army like no other. He stood tall and gave his order. We will attempt one more contact. Open visuals. Let them see us for what we are. The communication officer obeyed. Screens flickered to life, revealing the alien bridge for the first time. Faces of stone, chitin, and scaled flesh showing no weapons, no hostility, only tired explorers. But the human fleet did not waver. Their flagship drifted forward, an old massive vessel, its hull covered in scars, its name still painted across the side. Guardian of Dawn. The screen filled with static, then cleared, and at last the face of a human appeared. His uniform old but clean, his eyes sharp like blades. He studied them in silence before speaking. You do not look like our enemy, but enemies learn to wear many faces. If you mean peace, then prove it. The alien captain tried to speak, calm, measured. We are explorers, nothing more. We came upon your signal and sought to understand it. We did not know this world existed. We bring no army, no threat. The human's eyes narrowed, then he leaned forward. Our ancestors left us here. They told us the enemy would return. They told us to prepare, and so we have. For centuries we have built, we have fought. The planet itself fought against us, but we endured. When the enemy returns we will be ready. And if you stand in our way you will be destroyed. The communication ended at once, leaving only silence broken by the hum of warships moving into position. The aliens sat frozen, each officer staring at the empty screen. The tactical officer spoke first. Captain, they believe in this enemy with their whole being. But what if the enemy is long dead? What if they prepare for ghosts? The captain's jaw tightened, then his voice came heavy and sure. Then that is worse, because they have built a fire with no fuel, yet it still burns, and if they cannot find the enemy they expect, they may turn on anyone who comes near. His words hung in the air like a storm about to break, and as the alien vessel drifted helpless under the shadow of the forgotten human fleet, everyone knew the first contact had not brought peace, it had only awakened something long hidden and dangerous. The alien crew of the Seeker of Dawn sat in silence after the human fleet ended its transmission, the words still echoing in their ears. Centuries of preparation, centuries of waiting for an enemy no one else remembered. The captain's hands rested heavy on the console, his eyes dark with thought. The science officer broke the silence, her voice trembling. I have scanned fragments of their signals, old data buried in the transmissions. These people were cut off from the rest of humanity during a great war. Hundreds of years ago their ancestors believed the enemy would return, and they passed that belief through generations. The first mate frowned. But if the enemy never came, why keep building? Why not seek peace or join the stars? The science officer replied, because to them the war never ended. They were abandoned, and that abandonment became their truth. They built their whole society around one idea: survival through strength. The tactical officer's spines rose in unease. Then what if the enemy is gone? And only they remain, sharpened weapons waiting for a fight that will never come. The captain answered grimly, then we face a danger greater than the enemy itself, a people who know nothing but war, their children trained before they can walk, their factories building without end. What happens when such a people realize there is no enemy left to fight? His words chilled the bridge, but even as they spoke a new signal cut through their systems, encrypted, layered with ancient codes that the language officer struggled to untangle. It took minutes of silence before the meaning was revealed. The message was human, but it did not come from the planet below. It came from deeper space, older, weaker, as if a voice lost in the void had finally reached them. The translation was simple: the enemy still hunts us, beware. The crew froze. The captain leaned closer, eyes narrowing. Where is it coming from? The navigation officer struggled with the coordinates. It is beyond this system, near the dead star fields, a place no one dares enter. The tactical officer hissed, it could be a trap, but the captain shook his head. No, this explains why they never stopped preparing. Perhaps the enemy was real, perhaps fragments of survivors sent these warnings across the stars, and this colony heard them while the galaxy ignored them. The bridge filled with unease. Again, because now the picture was darker than before, either the humans prepared for a phantom or the enemy was real and forgotten by all but them. The science officer whispered, if this is true, then the council has been blind for centuries and these humans have carried the burden alone. The captain looked at the fleet still circling above the planet, their weapons steady, their discipline perfect, and he felt a weight deep in his chest. If the enemy is real, then the galaxy may need these humans more than it fears them, but if it is not real, then their fury will burn the stars around them. The communication officer broke in with alarm. Captain, the humans are trying to breach our channels. They are demanding access to our records. They want to know if we carry knowledge of their enemy. The crew shifted uneasily. Give them nothing, the captain ordered firmly, but his eyes remained heavy because he understood the truth. The humans were not only preparing, they were watching, they were measuring every reaction, every silence, as if weighing whether the aliens were friend or foe. The first mate asked softly, Captain, what will you tell the council? What can we tell them? The captain's voice came like stone. We tell them the truth. A forgotten colony has not died, it has sharpened itself into a blade, and it waits for an enemy the council has forgotten. We tell them the galaxy may not be ready for what waits here. His words ended in silence, but deep in the void another shiver ran across the sensors. Faint but sharp, an echo of movement among the dead star fields, like a shadow drifting against the light. The science officer's skin prickled. Perhaps the enemy was never gone. Perhaps it only slept, and in that instant every member of the Seeker of Dawn realized that whether phantom or real, the humans had become something terrifying because they had survived isolation, betrayal, hunger and fear, and turned it into steel. Now they waited for the day the enemy would come back, and if that day never came, they would find someone else to test their strength against. The alien vessel Seeker of Dawn floated under the cold shadow of the human fleet, the silence between them sharp as a blade. Every alien officer prayed the humans would let them leave, but hope burned out when alarms rang across the bridge. Dozens of human warships broke formation, engines flaring, weapons glowing. The captain stood firm, his voice steady. They are moving to test us. Hold position, shields to full strength. Do not respond unless fired upon. The crew obeyed, though fear hung heavy in their eyes. The humans closed in, their ships old but fast, each scarred hull hiding weapons far stronger than expected. Then a sudden flash, a lance of energy tore through the dark. One of the alien probe drones hidden in the system exploded. The tactical officer shouted. They attacked without warning. The captain's jaw clenched. They think us spies. They think we are the enemy. The fleet was not just circling now, it was tightening a noose around them. The science officer whispered, this is not random, this is strategy. They have trained for centuries, and it shows. Each movement of the human fleet was precise, rehearsed, like a predator pack herding prey. The communication officer tried again to broadcast peace, but the humans cut across the channel, their voice a thunder. We warned you, leave or be destroyed. The bridge shook as another drone exploded, shards of fire scattering across the black. The first mate spoke with panic. Captain, we cannot win. We are explorers, not soldiers. The captain replied, his voice hard, I know, but if we flee without knowledge, the council will walk blind into their fury. He looked at the screens where human warships glowed like angry stars and felt the dread of inevitability. This was no lost colony, this was a warrior nation forged in silence. The tactical officers' spines bristled. They are readying weapons across the entire fleet. Captain, if they fire, we will not survive. The captain stared at the nearest human ship, its guns primed, its name painted across the hull, Children of Vengeance. A chill passed through him. This was not defense, this was belief, war as religion, survival as destiny. Suddenly the humans broadcast again, a face appearing across their screens. It was the same commander as before, his eyes burning with suspicion. You come here without invitation, you bring lies of peace, yet you carry the scent of our old enemy. Admit your purpose or be erased. The alien captain raised his voice strong and calm. We are explorers, we do not know of your enemy, but we know you are not forgotten. The galaxy lives still, humans live still beyond this world, but your war, it ended long ago. The human commander's face hardened. Ended for you, not for us. The enemy took everything from our ancestors. They left us to fight alone. They told us to prepare, and so we did. Your words mean nothing until the enemy is ashes. Then silence fell before the commander gave the order. Weapons primed. The alien crew braced for death. Alarms screamed across the bridge, but then something unexpected happened. Instead of firing, the humans launched a swarm of smaller ships like knives of light darting around the Seeker of Dawn. They scanned every inch of the alien vessel, their presence suffocating, their weapons always armed. The science officer whispered, this is a test. They want to know if we will break or if we will fight. The captain's voice was steady. Then we will do neither. We will endure just as they have endured for centuries. And so the alien vessel held still as human ships circled like wolves, eyes burning with challenge. Then after endless minutes the swarm pulled back, rejoining the larger fleet. The human commander returned to the screen, his voice cold. You did not run, you did not fire. Perhaps you are not spies, perhaps, but if you remain you will bring fire upon yourselves. The channel cut. The alien crew exhaled, but their Relief was thin because they all knew the humans had not spared them out of mercy but caution and suspicion. The captain finally spoke, his voice heavy. Sparks of war have already lit this system. If we stay, the fire will consume us. If we leave, the fire will spread to the stars. His words chilled every soul on the bridge because they all knew the truth. The humans were not waiting for war any longer, they were ready to start it. The alien vessel Seeker of Dawn floated in the void, its crew shaken by the human tests, their nerves raw from standing beneath the guns of a fleet forged in silence. The captain knew they had survived only because the humans chose to let them, but that mercy was thin and fading now. Alarms flickered again across the bridge, faint readings from the edge of the system, shadows moving among the broken star fields where the ancient warning signal had come from. The science officer's voice trembled. Captain, something is out there, something large. The scanners can barely catch it, cloaked in debris, moving like a hunter in the dark. The crew fell silent, every mind thinking the same thought. Was the enemy real? Had it returned after centuries of absence? The tactical officer muttered, if it is only shadows we will never know, but if it is real, then the humans were right all along. Before the captain could answer, the human fleet reacted, their warships shifting into battle lines, weapons igniting, engines roaring. With sudden fury, they were not waiting now, they were rushing to face the intruder as if this was the moment they had been born for. The alien crew watched in stunned silence as hundreds of ships, scarred, patched, and ancient, moved with precision no one expected, their formation tight, their speed brutal, their discipline absolute. This was not a fleet cobbled together, this was an army waiting for centuries for one fight, one chance to prove their existence. Then the screens lit up, the shadow revealed itself, massive dark vessels sliding from the debris, their hulls jagged, their shapes unnatural, alive with strange energy. The bridge filled with shock, the enemy was real, alien beyond recognition, old and hateful, their ships bigger, stronger, yet their movement was slow, hesitant, as if waking from a long sleep. The humans did not hesitate, they charged their fleet, tearing forward, weapons blazing. The void filled with fire, light brighter than any star, battles erupted across the sky. The Seeker of Dawn shook from the shockwaves, though it was miles away. The crew clung to their stations, their eyes wide with awe and fear. The humans fought like demons, their old ships bleeding sparks but refusing to fall. One human vessel rammed an enemy cruiser, tearing it apart in flames. Another crippled ship still fired until it exploded, taking two foes with it. The aliens had never seen war like this. This was not strategy alone, this was rage and faith, every human captain willing to die so the rest might strike harder. The first mate whispered in, or they fight, as if death itself is nothing to them. The captain nodded, his voice low, this is what centuries of preparation have made of them, this is why they said they were ready. The science officer whispered more softly, and this is why the galaxy should fear them, for if they can do this alone, what will they do when they march together with the rest of humanity? The battle raged, the enemy powerful but unprepared for such madness. The humans had turned their isolation into a weapon, and they wielded it without fear. After long hours of fire and blood, the void grew quiet, the surviving enemy ships scattered, retreating into the black. The humans did not chase, instead they held their ground, their war drums silent, their fleet still standing though broken, scarred and burning yet unyielding. The human commander returned to the screen, his face streaked with blood but his eyes blazing with victory. You have seen, now you know the enemy is real, and you know we are not broken. Tell your council, tell them the forgotten are ready, and when the enemy returns we will not stand alone. The channel cut, the alien crew sat in stunned silence, the weight of history pressing on them. They had seen a truth no one else in the galaxy believed. The humans had not been preparing for ghosts, the humans had carried the torch of survival through centuries of darkness, and they had proved their fire still burned. The captain rose slowly, his voice calm but heavy with awe. We came here as explorers, but we leave as witnesses, witnesses to the return of the forgotten. His crew bowed their heads, for they knew this truth would change everything. When the council learned of this hidden human army, when the galaxy realized the enemy was real and that humanity had already begun the war, the stars themselves would tremble. The Seeker of Dawn turned away, engines burning as it fled the system, leaving behind the world of warriors and the fleet that had survived the impossible. But even as the alien vessel left, the sensors picked up one final signal drifting across the black, not from the humans, not from the enemy, but from somewhere deeper, older, a voice like a whisper across eternity, we are coming. And with those words echoing in their minds, the crew understood the war of the forgotten had only just begun.